Denver Nuggets pulled off a shocker Tuesday, firing head coach Mike Malone, who guided the Nuggets to an NBA championship just 2 years ago. The team is also parting ways with GM Calvin Booth. The Nuggets have lost 4 straight. They're in danger of falling into the play-in after going just 11-13 since the All-Star break. Lead assistant David Edelman replaces Malone for now. Time to go by the numbers on Malone, starting with 471. The number of regular season games he won as the Nuggets head coach. That's the most in franchise history and second most by any coach in the last 10 years, behind only the Warriors' Steve Kerr. Next, he was fired 79 games into the season, tied for the latest into a season a coaching change has been made in NBA history. In 1981, the Hawks moved on from UB Brown after 79 games as well. But unlike these Nuggets, Brown's Hawks were well outside the playoffs. And we end with 4, as with Malone's firing 4 of the last 6 coaches to win an NBA title are no longer coaching the team they won that title with. Malone led the Nuggets to their only championship in franchise history just 2 seasons ago. The man who broke the story on Tuesday, our own senior NBA insider, Shams Charania, joins us. And Shams, why in the world did Denver make this decision now with just days left in the regular season?
Linda, in the minds of the Denver Nuggets and ownership with the Cronkies, they believed something had to give at some point over this next week or so, because they had lost 4 games in a row, and overall there had just been a cold war brewing between Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. They made the decision already in the last week or so that they were going to dismiss one or both of Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. So it was just about getting it over with now, flipping the culture, and injecting this team with some energy going into the stretch run and the playoffs coming up over the next week or so. But yes, this was stunning across the league. Michael Malone is the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history. He's a championship coach just 2 years ago, and now he's fired. He's been dismissed. And really, this is an ownership group that has decided we're not going to pick one or the other. We're dismissing both and giving this team the best chance to compete for a championship in the playoffs.
And the Nuggets play the Kings on Wednesday on ESPN.
We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Life can be hard, so Progressive makes bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. You heard some of the audio there from Around the Horn and PTI yesterday, and SportsCenter, the stunning news that the Denver Nuggets, with 3 games left in the season, make a change at head coach and general manager. Michael Malone, after 10 seasons and a championship, is out in Denver. Calvin Booth, their general manager, will not be back in Denver. And oh, by the way, they're heading to the playoffs in just a few days here. Along with Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen with you. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today?
Man, it's a hard knock life for NBA coaches, especially ones that win championships. 1 minute you're on top of the world, and 2 years later, you're fired and you're looking for a job.
Yeah, that's right. We always say the NFL is not for long, but the NBA has really taken the cake, especially this season. This season has also been the year of surprises between Luka, Taylor Jenkins, now Michael Malone. There has been a lot of shocks that have reverberated throughout the NBA this year.
I don't know that it can get more shocking, but I guess it will. I mean, at this point, I mean, like this was one of those moments again yesterday where Shams tweets this and reports this, and you're like, come on, this can't be true.
You're checking to see if it's real?
I thought it wasn't real.
Yeah, so did I.
Because I didn't know. Listen, NBA heads knew Michael Malone, Calvin Booth, not best of friends. Okay, you don't have to be best of friends if you win it. They won a championship together. Like they're fine, right? Not fine.
They won a championship with the team that Tim Connelly put together, not Calvin Booth.
That is true too.
The GM for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's the architect for what the Denver Nuggets were when they won that championship in 2023. And it's no coincidence that he then went to Minnesota and built a team that has beat the Denver Nuggets 6 straight times. So, I mean, there's a question mark around whether or not Calvin Booth got a little Jerry Reese in him from the New York Giants, somebody that's riding the coattails of a general manager that's one of the best in the business.
Fair. And we may look back at that moment and say, why would he do that, meaning Connolly? Why would he voluntarily leave Jokic? And that could go back to finances around how they pay the executives, finances around the way in which they're going to pay the team, right?
Which is really ridiculous, because Josh Kroenke, part of the Kroenke family, Stan Kroenke, they have more money than God.
One of the reasons they probably have more money than God is they don't spend more money than God.
Correct.
No, you can't tell them about with the project that they had with the LA Rams. They spent a bunch of money on that.
They did, but to make money.
Yeah, sure. I get it. But the whole point is if you invest in a team and it's championship caliber and you have the best player in the world, you would want to make sure that you do everything you can to keep good pieces around them. And the problem for the Denver Nuggets, to me, is not how they were being coached. The problem with the Denver Nuggets is roster construction. Mm-hmm. They got 3 max contracts and only 1 max player. Nikola Jokic, that's it. That Jamal Murray contract doesn't look great. Mm-hmm. Michael Porter Jr. contract, aged like milk. Oh, those are bad deals relative to what you're paying him. Now, I do think Murray is more part of the solution than the problem, but I think it's clear and obvious that the trajectory that he was thought to be on is no longer the case. And so you're going to have to bring in other pieces around Nikola Jokic, and that's going to require that you spend some money and spend some draft capital in order to make a significant move this summer.
And maybe they will apply what they've been able to enact with the Rams to the Nuggets. But I will tell you, as somebody who has dealt with them a little bit, or at least has been in the same ecosystem as the Kroenke Sports Entertainment Group, what they did with the Rams, with the bleep them picks, what they did with the Rams and funding SoFi Stadium and spending money out there was not the approach that they have historically taken with their sports franchises. So I am not surprised that there is some frustration around the fact that people think that they aren't spending enough money with the Denver Nuggets. Now, they've had success for a long time. They didn't, whether it was Arsenal or the Rams or the Avs or the Nuggets. And then they went to LA. They win with the Rams. They've obviously had success with the Avalanche. They've had success with the Denver Nuggets. So part of the formula has worked for them. But they are going to have to make sure that they're doing everything they can moving forward to capitalize on the window that you have with the greatest player in the world in Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing is Michael Malone was the coach of a team for 10 years that had the greatest player in the world and got the most out of the greatest player in the world. Normally when that happens, that coach is with that great player for the entirety of his career. We could sit there if we do the football comps, and we've probably had many critiques over the course of the last however many years of Sean McDermott, the Bills coach. Mm-hmm. The Bills may look at it and say, he's gotten the most out of the MVP of the National Football League and Josh Allen, and thus we are going to stay with him until they ultimately get over that hump. Michael Malone got the most out of Jokic. You cannot get more out of a player than Michael Malone got out of Jokic. Now, there's so many layers to this. CeCe brought up the amount of coaches that have been fired in the NBA that have won titles. It's ridiculous.
It's staggering.
Malone, obviously. Coach Bud was fired by the Bucks. He's obviously now the coach of the Suns, at least for now. Frank Vogel. Well, I mean,
God have mercy.
I'm being serious.
It's lies told.
Yeah.
No lies told.
And I'm not blaming Coach Bud because everyone gets fired by that organization at this point. Frank Vogel, coach of the Lakers, gets fired, right? Nick Nurse, coach of the Raptors, gets fired. And this doesn't even include, because this is more recently, Ty Lue got fired by the Cavs.
And he's one of the best coaches in the league.
And he's never not been one of the best coaches in the league, right? Literally, the guy came in with no head coaching experience